Crime in southern Nevada. Over the years, the trends have changed dramatically. Today, violent crime is down over where it had been. But some new crimes are coming about. New crimes that are raising a lot of questions. They're called swarms. How do they impact all of us? What are the real issues? How are they being handled? And is Crime Stoppers working in our community? Additionally, when a 22-year-old is shot and killed, why hasn't the killer been found? That and more today on our program. What about crime in our community? I'm honored to be joined by Sheriff Doug Gillespie, who has vowed in the past to lower our crime rate, and indeed he has done just that. We're also being joined by Metro Sergeant John Scott, tied directly into the investigation of the death of 22-year-old Michael Portaro. Welcome, gentlemen, to our program. Sheriff, you and I have talked many, many times in the past, and I know your passion to control crime in our community. Violent crime is down, specifically the total number of homicides, down dramatically from where they were back only 5 years ago. Why? Is it what you're doing, or is it the community changing?
It's a combination of things, Steve. I think when you're looking at homicide rates, you have to be careful when you're looking at short-term successes, maybe numbers from year to year. But what we've seen over the last 5 years is a continued downturn in those homicide numbers. And we attribute the reduction to our focus on a couple areas. One is the retaliation gang type shooting. When one occurs, we've put into place processes where we get into the neighborhoods, we get into the gangs, and we do our best to prevent any kind of retaliation type shooting. Second is domestic violence. A few years ago, we saw our numbers rise. We instituted some programs. It's follow-up to arrests. It's targeting those individuals that we think will repeat a domestic violence act that will result in a homicide. And because of that, we're seeing those numbers go backwards. So those are a couple of things that we attribute to the reduced in homicides.
There was a lot of speculation that as the economy continued to turn down and the problems that were happening within the families because of the economic issues, that there was going to be a rise in the violent crime at home, including murder, suicide, and homicide. We haven't seen that, though, have we?
Well, you know, Steve, suicide is a challenge for all of us as a community. I mean, we have not seen the numbers be reduced in that area. There's a lot of stress on people's lives, as we all know. But when it comes to the violent crime aspect or crime in general, the competing theory is that during tough economic times, you've actually seen reduction in crimes historically. And part of that is attributed to the family model comes back together. People have to move home. Not everybody has jobs. The other part of that is you don't have that discretionary spending money. So you tend to be a bit more careful with that which you have. So it's not as easy for the criminal element to take advantage of individuals.
One of the biggest surprises somewhat, and it is a tribute to your department and what you've done, and Sergeant, I'll ask you directly. Back in, I think it was 2006, the clearance rate of homicides was about 65, 6, 7, 8%, somewhere around there. Today, your clearance rate is greater. You're actually finding the suspects, arresting them, charging them, prosecuting them. What has been, Sergeant, that difference? Because I know the sheriff, that's a big thing for the sheriff. What's been the change?
I believe the one factor that's changed for homicide is the number of personnel who actually go to a scene and participate in that investigation. We doubled that number as far as personnel actually going to the scene, which enhances your investigation. You can do better interviews, meet with more people, check more sources. It provides a better product in the end.
Sheriff, I know this is a point of pride for you in getting that number higher in your clearance rate. That's a lot of times where you're judged, isn't it?
Sure. People look at clearance rates as they do the crime rate. You know, homicides in policing at times have been looked upon as it's tough to impact the numbers, the occurrences. And there are a lot of factors that come into play that limit your ability at times to solve them. Eyewitnesses and accounts like that. I believe this organization has been very focused on not making excuses. We look at those numbers. We work very hard to adapt, modify, and change so we can impact those numbers. What John just talked about in regards to increasing the number of homicide detectives that go out to a scene, nationally, the number, if you compare us to other large police organizations, we send a lot more people out to the scene. And I guess when you're looking at a crime scene, you could criticize us for the number of people that are out there. But I think their clearance rates speak volumes of that approach change that we made a number of years ago.
But 11% increase in the clearance rate from just 5 years is a huge number. I mean, that's something that other departments, I'm sure, can only wish for, that much of a difference in 5 years.
I think another part of it is the relationship that we have with the community and willingness of witnesses to come forward and give us information. I know you're going to be talking about Crime Stoppers later, and that's a big part of it. There's an anonymous approach there for somebody to come forward and give us some information. But I believe now, more so than ever, when we show up on crime scenes, because of our relationship with the community, we have the ability to have those witnesses that truly can help us solve these crimes step forward and give us the information that we need.
Okay, so let's now go to the unfortunate death of 22-year-old Michael Portaro. Standing outside of a brewery, a club in town on March 30th at 11:30 in the evening, gunned down. Today, as of now, no suspects, nobody arrested. That has to be more frustrating for your department and Sergeant, for you, than anything, because I would think that there's somebody out there that has seen something that maybe doesn't even realize they've seen something to help solve this crime.
That's true.
What do you do? How do you get that information?
Well, that Crime Stoppers is one of our tools that we use to get that kind of information from the public. Someone who, like you said, saw something but doesn't think it's significant in this investigation could be very significant for us as investigators. So by using Crime Stoppers to get that information into the investigators, that just enhances our investigation, gives us other leads, other areas to check into. And that's where we hope by putting out a reward through Crime Stoppers, we can come up with additional information on this crime.
Sheriff, I saw you at a couple of press conferences after the death of this 22-year-old, and it was clear your emotions were there. I mean, it's clear that, you're tied very, very deeply into solving this case. Reward is important, but getting the information out more important?
It's both, Steve, really. Any homicide is a traumatic event. Even if it is in the process of criminal activity, meaning you have two dope dealers or something, you have families connected to this that had no part to the criminal act itself or what may have taken place. And in a situation like this, we've got an innocent young man in a parking lot who was shot and killed. And go back to what the sergeant had talked about before about our increased personnel, the numbers of homicides that have been reduced. This gives his unit more time to spend on cases like this. And we're not done yet. Anybody that's out there watching this, please understand, we're not done. And I've made that commitment to the family, as I do to any family whose loved one was lost in a situation.
And I want to let the audience know also we're going to have the Portaro family on the program in just a few minutes to talk about what has occurred to them and what they're doing to hopefully find somebody. So I want everybody to know that that's happening. Sheriff, I only have a few more minutes with you, and I want to talk about this frightening new situation that's occurring within our community called swarms. We saw the video from that convenience store at Sunset and Pecos. Frightening. I mean, frightening. What's Metro doing? Where are you going with this? Because it is frightening to watch.
Well, you know, technology in some ways, Steve, is a great thing. And in some respects, it's very challenging. And that's what we have here with the ability to people text message, instant message, email each other, BlackBerries, you name it, as to where the party might be, where it is that we all want to go. And, you know, in policing, we move with the changes in technology. We always have. And my message to people out there, whether you're committing a criminal act as an individual or as a group, be rest assured, the Metropolitan Police Department is going to hold you accountable.
And you expect arrests, big-time arrests within this situation. I mean, you've got the pictures. Clearly, you've got the pictures here.
Well, we've got instances that occur. This isn't the first time we've had video of criminal activity afoot or things like this taking place. And I think we've done a very good job over the years of holding people accountable. That's why our crime rate has gone down 32% in the last 5 years, is because we're holding people accountable. They're being arrested, they're being prosecuted, and people see that. And that is an aspect. Enforcement is a significant aspect of keeping your community safe. It's not the only part of it. Community participation is a key as well. Whether you're solving homicides, burglaries, auto theft, we need the community support. And I'll go back to what I said before. We have worked very hard over the years to create those positive relationships. And I believe we're paying the dividends as a community as a whole today compared to a number of years ago. People trust us. That's important.
You know, I watch in other communities when I see crimes happen against individuals and people just walk by and they don't stop and they don't help, and it makes me very, very mad. What I was glad to hear in this instance of this swarm is that people were writing down license plate numbers and giving up to the police. People and the involvement of people is critically important. You're not out there enough. You can't do everything. Those of us that live in neighborhoods, we have to protect our neighborhoods, our neighbors, watch all those things. It is not just Metro or North Las Vegas PD or Henry. It's everybody together. Agreed?
Totally agreed. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow morning, actually. Ourselves, Henderson, North Las Vegas Police Department. We get together quarterly and discuss crime trends. And it's just not myself and the two chiefs. It's leadership in all three of those organizations. The criminal element in Las Vegas knows no boundaries. They don't know whether they're in Metro's jurisdiction, Henderson, North Las Vegas. So it's important for us to work together. But more importantly, my message is always to the community. If in doubt, call us. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Pick up the phone and call us. We're there, we're waiting, and we'll respond.
Sheriff, as always, it's a great honor to have you on the program. Your insight and your knowledge is amazing. And I know your passion and dedication is not just words, it's what you truly feel, and I appreciate you being here. Sergeant, thank you very much, and I know that your task is a tough one. I know that in talking with you before the program that finding the suspect in this case is critical. Hopefully we'll get some information from Crime Stoppers and the family that might be able to help you as well. So we'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. Sheriff, Sergeant, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
It is really about you and people and organizations like Crime Stoppers. When we come back, we'll look into the local agency whose single effort is to find those perpetrating crimes. Crime Stoppers, when we come back.